Reagan, maybe a jumping off point. I mean, when people think of, the brands that are under, a lot of iconic brands that are under Moët Hennessy, they think about the legacy, some of them traditions, some of them are very old. First of all, how does that legacy and tradition impact what you do on the commercial side?
It guides our thinking from the very beginning. Our brands, you're exactly right, have years, if not centuries of heritage and craftsmanship. And so part of what the team does is taking that craftsmanship, that savoir-faire, and translating it into environments, experiences that also create memories that are really culturally relevant.
When you think about that, and let's just if we're talking about brands, I mean, we're talking everything from, I think, Moët and Chandon to Dom Pérignon to spirits, Hennessy to Belvedere vodka to a number of wines. So how does that sort of, how does the legacy of those kind of something like a Dom Pérignon affect how you think about it today?
So the legacy of something like a Dom Pérignon, rooted in so much history, so much winemaking excellence, we bring that to life in various ways. I think a beautiful example of something that the team did this year is with Dom Pérignon Luminous. And it is a bottle that has an incredible ritual where it lights up and is in a cloche, and you really understand the ritual of the moment. And so although the consumer or the person at the restaurant might not be thinking of 100 years of tradition, they are experiencing something that resonates emotionally as unique and filled with something that speaks more to what they're feeling in the moment.
And when I think about brands in this space, when we've done, we're a global marketing agency. When we've done marketing, let's say in spirits and alcohol previously, in something like wine, let's say, there's sort of these indicators. It's so much of it is the story that's embodied in it. And I remember getting into this a lot of detail in is this vineyard, is it horse plowed or machine plowed? Not so much because necessarily that will make a difference in, the ultimate the wine that you taste, but the care that goes into being it horse plowed and the manual and the fact that it's been done, for hundreds of years this way. And we do it the way it was originally done, the right way, that actually becomes a big part of the storytelling of this. That means that we can charge, $150 for this bottle of wine instead of $20 for this bottle of wine. And it's embodied. So how does that come in and sort of all of that and that, and are there sort of key, these key defining moments for these brands or these key stories that kind of encapsulate the value?
Each brand has its own story. And within the moments that really live, I guess what you would call traditionally below the line, this is where the team has the opportunity to craft the experiences. And so let me paint a little picture. I think it would be helpful. You mentioned the different wines, the different horses plowing. But when you have something such as a champagne, and you have it in a pairing atmosphere, and they understand what type of yeast it was with, or what the dosage is. These are different elements that we can play with when we're creating experiences for the consumers. We also often bring in our winemakers to work with sommeliers, and the team is also leading incredible advocacy efforts, which is when you hear brand ambassador, there are legion of storytellers as well.
So how do those come into commercial experiences, which you focus on specifically? How does that come in? Are you looking at moments, events where it makes sense that these brands are part of the conversation? Maybe I think we were having the US Open recently, and the US Open is an opportunity to do this, or in tennis, or is there other things? How do you sort of kind of figure out where this shows up for potential consumers?
So that's a great question. And there are so many flagship moments that our brands participate in. So for example, US Open with Moët, F1 with the Moët Hennessy portfolio and the greater LVMH portfolio. NBA with Hennessy, which we did this year. And so there's these moments that are very aspirational and that people might see them on TV. And so when the team thinks of how can we bring these moments to life with more people, for more people to feel, for more people to understand, it's something like what we did with the US Open. You have the marquee event, the pavilion, the entertainment suite, but sprinkled all throughout the city, the team did an amazing job of featuring Moët by the Glass or our Moët Mosa cocktail, Mimosa Play, for people to enjoy. And we even had a beautiful pop-up at the Gansevoort Hotel, which was all tennis themed and Moët themed as well. So people could even enjoy the theme of the US Open while in the city.
What is the importance of those like events or moments now? I mean, has that changed? I mean, it's interesting how, I mean, these like sort of like very physical activations compared to a ton of, digital activations, a ton of things that don't need to exist in the physical world. For brands in this sort of like the space that you occupy, are these physical in-person moments like still important?
The physical in-person moments remain the most important.
Why? Why is that?
I say that because that is really where we make our memories. Campaigns come and go. A media campaign might change year over year, but the experiences that someone has with a brand is what stays. You'll remember if you have a beautiful sip of Krug champagne, much more than if you flip through it within a social media post. It's experiencing it, human, authentic, and memorable, which is still so important for building brands, especially brands that are for celebration, for consuming.
If brands and like something like a alcohol or a spirits is about experience, you're ultimately selling experience, not just what's in the bottle. It's the experience around it. Then how do you think about that, or how do you match up between what is, experience can be a very, personal and time intensive thing. You've got to go person by person. But you also need some scalability for reach. And we're living in an area of AI where things that were like never scalable before are suddenly scalable, right? We can suddenly write 100,000 custom messages to your 100,000 most important VIP customers. And you could do that with a lot less effort than you could before. So how do you think in terms about like sort of personal experience, but like still achieving scale that you need to move your core bottom line numbers?
Let's unpack a little bit. So first of all, I love AI. It's made my life much easier, especially on the work front, especially in some tasking. However, some brands might have the opportunity to do very quick scaling or very quick messaging to the consumers. But when someone is investing in something luxury or something that they feel is extremely special for celebration, the differentiator of luxury is really about service and fine details. And so exactly what the team works on is scaling, not mass scaling, but scaling with the right environments and the right audiences. In alcohol beverage, typically that exists in what we call one of two premises. The off-premise, which is where people go and purchase a bottle at the store as a gift or to have at home, or the on-premise, where people go and drink on site. And so this is a restaurant, a bar, a hotel. And so how we can create really curated, bespoke moments within those arenas. And that's the commercial marketing mission. So again, we do scale, but we want each occasion and each experience or environment to still be very curated at the human level.
Well, and how do you think about new, trends or audiences that emerge, and how you sort of embrace these new trends? Like, I'll give you an example where there might have been some in alcohol spirits maybe 20 years ago where we would say, oh, your potential audience or customer is not, an urban market that would be interested in, certain sports that weren't the legacy sports, certain music that wasn't the legacy music, certain, events that were not. But suddenly it's being embraced by a new crowd. There's others who are embracing brands. There's other things coming. So how do you think about, are we going to sort of say like, oh, we've been at the tennis tournaments like the US Open, but now we're thinking that we're going to do something totally different, and we're, and we're going to evaluate this opportunity. How do you sort of balance new trends versus like sort of like what is tried and true and is a no-brainer for, a certain type of brand?
That is such a great point. And when you look above, we have a variety of beautiful brands in the portfolio. And so we do traditional marketing with data-driven demographics, understanding the consumer base. We're always looking for a red thread. When we look at Moët, F1, the US Open, these are all things tied towards celebration. And so there's different things, but all people want to celebrate. And so these are areas where we can bring in new consumers, but also maintain the dignity of all of our traditions as well.
Well, and is there something that comes to mind where you've just experimented in one of the brands or done something unexpected that wouldn't be that? Like, I assume you're at a lot of like golf and tennis tournaments. But besides that, I don't know, maybe some polo in there or something like that. But like, has there been anything else F1, of course, is there anything else that you've done that has surprised you or been like, oh, that's interesting or different or a little bit unexpected?
Oh, absolutely. So I think what Hennessy is doing right now is extremely different and a little bit unexpected. This year, I don't know if you're a music lover, but the Hennessy marketing team, the team has been super focused on occasionality around music at Governor's Ball, Sueños, at local music festivals that really resonate with the communities that they're in. And within that, the team focuses on building out serves that are unexpected, perhaps from cognac, like the Hennessy Margarita, affectionately known as the Henny Rita. And so there's different ways to bring the brands to life depending on the brand. When we look at champagne, the occasionality is very different than that of spirits, where we want to build a cocktail or a serve that people enjoy as well. And what we call serve strategy is very different between a Belvedere or a Hennessy.
Where is there like opportunities of all those things that you think really there's, this brand maybe has been around for a while, but, we've just scratched the surface. There's a lot more we can do.
Oh, we have so many beautiful brands. So right above my head, you will see our Belvedere portfolio. And this year, it's already in 2 markets, but moving into next year, Dirty Brew, a coffee version of Belvedere, will be launching. And so this is something where we're seeing so much momentum in espresso martinis, in martini culture in general. And this is something that captures that really pre-game moment of celebrating before you go out. And so this is something that we're really looking forward to from an innovation standpoint.
I see. Well, and when I hear that, I hear you say pre-game moment. Is there almost to like, I don't know if maybe it's not all day, but like a day part strategy where there's different moments or times or certain occasions. I mean, you said like pre-game, then there's what are we doing, I guess, during the game, whether that's an actual game or something else. What are we doing? It's that, I don't know, post-game or nightcap or whatever you want to call it. Can we even play during the daytime? You talked about, I don't know, the music festival and the, Henny Rita, I guess, would be maybe something you would, could have at 1 PM or something like that while you're watching a show.
Absolutely have a Henny Rita.
So do you think about that? Do you try to like own, is it all just occasion based, or do you actually own like different moments in the day so our like product can be relevant given, you're at work, you're not at work, you're dressed up, you're getting dressed up, you're winding down. We've got something for you in all of those moments.
Yes. And so for each brand, we don't do that, but each brand within the portfolio has a hero serve or a different preferred occasionality where it would fit. So Henny Rita, for example, ties perfectly into daytime and perfectly into that festival experience. Even something, a champagne mimosa, the same. There's different times of occasionality, and then the portfolio can take you through the entire evening. A delicious glass of Phelps red wine with your steak, or even a nightcap of one of our single malts or Hennessy XO. So you're exactly right. We can target both the timing of consumption and the rituals of consumption.
What is one thing about marketing in this vertical that you think people get wrong? Is there something that you just think like the sort of the entire space should pay attention to and try to do better?
I think right now there is so much change within the marketing sphere, within the global sphere in general, that there is the need to really rethink our approach of the traditional full funnel. When we look at different campaigns, there are so many points where the consumer can be engaged. To your point, digital is more important than ever, especially for Gen Z. Building the memory structure of the consumer within moments of consumption, daytime, aperitivo, dinner, and things that are easily recognizable, also so important. To me, at this moment in time, creating the human connection of our brands is the most important thing to me still. Luxury is differentiated through simple acts of service, hospitality, and also details.
Where you think Moët Hennessy can be in 3 years or 5 years? What will be the evolution of the entire portfolio over that time, do you think?
I think the world is our oyster. We have such beautiful traditional French brands between our cognac and champagnes. We have maisons, our brand houses, all over the world. There's always discussions of both innovation and acquisition. So I think that continuing to balance our portfolio with category leaders and then brand new emerging brands like Woodinville Bourbon or Volcan Tequila will continue to be the path.
What was the best advice you ever got along the way to sort of help you get where you are today?
There's probably two pieces of advice that have shaped me from two different excellent leaders in my career. The first is, don't let tasks take over. We can get so busy in our day-to-day and really allow a to-do list to inflict itself upon us or our teams. By not letting the tasks take over, it allows us as leaders to stay super focused on the big picture and be better leaders for our teams. The second piece of advice that really resonates with me is to lead with empathy. And that is understanding that each teammate has their own life, their own background, their own skill set, and their own style. And to get the most high-performing team, it's really about unlocking potential in people that they might not even see themselves.
And what about the worst advice you've ever received? Have you ever gotten really bad advice along the way?
Yes. I've gotten some, maybe not bad advice, but advice I wouldn't give others.
What is that? No, but like, what is it? Did some, I mean, I'd love to hear it. I almost feel like you can almost learn what to do by learning what not to do.
I had some advice about showing up in a specific way or do this way from a manager, very prescriptive.
And what does it mean showing up in this way? It means in terms of your, like what you said, in terms of your appearance?
No, not in terms of my appearance or anything like that. No, but really more stylistically.
What style did they want you to project?
I'm not sure. I think it was more their style themselves.
Oh, it's like be like me.
Be like that person. And you can try, but trying to be someone other than yourself can also be very tiring. And that is what led me to my other piece of great advice that I learned, is to lead with empathy. And there are so many different ways of thinking and working, and diverse teams are better teams that make better decisions and better, beautiful products for the consumers.
Have you ever been in your career in a meeting and felt you were in over your head? Or like, oh, I'm new to this, or I don't know that. Have you ever felt that along the way?
Of course. I was telling a story the other day when I got my first corporate job in AlcBev. I had come from being a teacher, and they put up all these charts on the screen, and I had no idea what I was looking at. And I was so afraid to ask. But I did ask, and I found out, and I learned how to read the charts. And I don't think that feeling ever goes away. Whenever you grow in your career, whenever you get a promotion, there's going to be a meeting or an audience where you feel like you're in over your head. But when you feel like that, that means that you're growing. And next time it happens, you'll be able to know what you're doing and feel like your head is above water.
Well, and it's funny you say that, because I remember the very early days of the agency. We did a couple, project type stuff and stuff like that. We did well. And then the client said, we wanted to invite you to participate in our RFP. And I was like, oh, that's great. And I didn't know what RFP was. I didn't know that it was a request for proposal. I didn't know that it was like a competitive thing where you'd be going up, because we were like so new. And so I like Googled it, like, what is RFP? And they said, and then I think the next thing I heard was like, oh, that's great. We're going to need your response. I think next Wednesday. I was like, okay. And then I had to Google, what is an RFP response? And I now would know what an RFP is. It was a response. And I think back to that. And sometimes you just got to go for it. And here I are now. I mean, we've probably done we probably had hundreds of successful RFPs at this point, but it all started out, we didn't even know what it was we were being invited to do.
Yes. We've all been there. And I'm flooded with memories as you tell me this. One time when I was, again, very early in my career, and this was before the PowerPoint era was at its height, they're like, send me a deck. And I was like, what is a deck? I thought it was a cool deck.
Yeah, like a porch? You want me to invite you to my porch? Let's have a... Yes, okay.
Also, within this business, there's a lot of acronyms. And to the point where one of our amazing finance partners put together an acronym dictionary. And so every company you join, you're also learning an adjacent yet foreign language of acronyms.
Okay. Yes. And then you learn there's a few things like a few phrases you could always use that are universal. If you don't know, into things, I'm trying to think of the phrase that you always have. I learned from a lot of these meetings, I never used a word like this, but a lot of people would use the word allergic. I'm allergic to this kind of thing. I could I was like, okay, you can say you're allergic to something. You could say you can say rich territory. Oh, this is rich territory to explore, right? You learn there's a little bit of things that if you don't know what to do, to say oh, let's explore. I think there might be some rich territory here, Reagan. We should explore this. If you don't know what to say, you figure it out a little bit.
We will go find a few answers and come back.
Well, and how did you go from teacher into marketing side, and specifically alcohol and spirits?
My origin story. So my education and my master's is actually in Italian studies and medieval literature. So I had a whole other chapter before there was corporate Reagan as an Italian instructor at Arizona State University. The way I got my foot in the door was quite unexpected. I saw a job on Craigslist, and it said part-time job, Italian speaker needed. And this was in Phoenix, where I'm from. And I applied for it. I got it. And it turned out to be an agency role running all of the promotions for Peroni beer. And that's how I got my foot in the door. And so within that time, from that time to now, I've worked my way up in every role between sales and marketing, now into commercial marketing. So within my team, I'm proud to say that I've done all the jobs that we do together. And so I've walked in their shoes. And And so that's how I got my foot in the door, and I liked it and I stayed with it.
Well, and so the moral of the story is, one, medieval studies is key to a high-powered marketing career. And two, learn to speak a beautiful and lovely language as well, and it will pay off.
It will pay off. And it was if I may paraphrase, perhaps the lesson is as well, follow your heart and your passions, do what you like first. Plans never happen as you expect them. Life is full of surprises. And if you need a medieval translator, I got you then.
I feel like during this like heyday of Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings that are inspired by this, I actually feel that is a handy skill.
I was very into the different languages in Game of Thrones, I won't lie.
Okay, very good. Well, Regan O'Kon, thank you so much for joining us on Branded Leaders, SVP Commercial Marketing, Moët Hennessy, and thank you for giving some insight into the industry and what an interesting personal journey you've had as well.
Thank you so much, Ben, and thank you so much to the team. It was an honor and a pleasure.